Hey folks, I know it's been years, literally years since I've posted anything, but, and this is not the best way to come back to my YouTube channel, right? I want to talk about something that is a dead horse. I want to beat a dead horse in front of you, okay? I'm sorry, PETA, I love horses, and I do not endorse the beating of dead horses. That would be disrespectful. However, what I'm trying to say is that this subject is so overdone, okay? There's already way too much discussion on the matter, but I cannot sit idly by while the youth of America, our finest musicians, the hope for our future, are deceived into believing that it's only the pickups that affect the sound of your electric guitar. I want to say false. You know why? Because physics. And I don't even know very much about physics, but I do know some very basic principles that must necessarily affect how a guitar operates. I'll tell you this. I know for sure that it is, in fact, the pickups that sense and convert the vibration of the strings into voltage or current or whatever it's called that goes out to the guitar. I know that the magnetic field of the pickups and the interaction between the ferrous material in the strings and the magnetic field of the pickups is what induces voltage into that system, okay? And that is the only thing, right? So yes, the pickups absolutely affect the sound of the guitar, and they are the only part of the guitar that transfers that sound energy into electrical energy. However, the strings that vibrate within the magnetic field are connected to a piece of wood, and they are at tension on a piece of wood. And when you displace a string by plucking it, picking it, however you want to do it, when you displace that string, okay, that's at tension, that's pulling hard on both ends of the guitar, and the wood of the guitar is resisting that pull of the strings, right? It's at tension. Sorry, I spit on my camera here. It's at tension, and it's pulling, the string is pulling on the wood, and the wood is resisting the urge to bend under the tension of that string, right? But when you displace a string, when you pluck it ever so slightly, that tension is increased, right? There's more tension. That's why when you strum really hard, the strings sound a little bit sharp. Okay? It's because all of the displacement of that string is causing the tension to be increased. There's more tension. And I don't know how the actual wavelengths work, whether the increased tension and the increased distance that string is displaced. I don't know whether that increases the pitch. It might. I have no idea. Teach me if you know. But I know for sure that the tension is increased when that string is displaced. And then that string has energy, right? It's got potential energy. And when that string is displaced at tension and you release it, you pluck it and you pick it, then it wants to go back to its state of tension. It wants to go back to zero. But because of the now kinetic energy of that string having been displaced and then released, that string goes back past zero, right? Past its original point of tension and displaces itself the other way. And that's why they vibrate like that. Is because that energy that you have put into the string to displace it, to move it out of its path, right? Out of its state of rest. That energy is still in the string, and it keeps vibrating until it's gotten rid of all that energy and it goes back to tension again. Okay? That's how the strings work. Now, the strings are connected to a piece of wood, a piece of organic material that resists the flexion, right? That string wants to put on the guitar. It resists the tension of the strings, but it doesn't completely resist the tension of the strings. That's why truss rods exist, right? The string pulls and bends the wood, okay? Just the slightest bit, ever so slightly. Have you ever noticed that when you're tuning up a guitar, if all your strings are loose and you tune them all and you put them all in tension, let's say you tune it up to like a step, below, like to like standard, like D standard tuning, right? And then you start tuning up. When you tune one string up, the rest of the strings will go just slightly flat. Do you know why? Because the tension that you're putting on that string, that one string, is pulling the guitar neck up toward the bridge, right? And the rest of the strings, they experience less tension. The tension is released on those because the guitar has moved. The guitar itself has been displaced. So when the strings are at tension, whatever tuning they're at, right, and whatever gauge of strings you're using, and whatever type of wood the guitar is, the guitar itself resists the pull of that string, but only so much. There's only so much resistance that it has, right? It bends just a little bit. Now, when you displace the string and increase the tension on that piece of wood, the wood, even in microscopic amounts, it bends a little bit more. It has to. It's physics, okay? This is how it works. This is how the world works. You displace the string, the wood bends, okay? Then when you release that tension, the wood goes back to its original state, right? The 0 point. But then what happens to the string? It keeps vibrating. It goes the other way. And that tension is increased again as the string is displaced. And so what happens to the wood? It pulls a little bit, okay? So when you vibrate a string on your guitar, you're vibrating the wood itself. And the wood itself acts as a dampener of those strings because the energy of the string is being released ever so slightly every time that wood contracts and releases, right? Every time the string pulls on the wood and lets it go again, and then the string goes the other way, it's pulling on the wood again. So the wood of the guitar is vibrating and dampening the energy of that string, dampening the sustain of that string. Every time the string vibrates, the wood absorbs some of that energy, right? And then it's gone from the string, okay? The string stops vibrating ever so slowly. So I could take any guitar. I'm going to just grab this one because I know it's a nice one. This belongs to my brother-in-law. This is a Carvin, okay? It's really well built. It's a really high-end guitar. But if I take and play any note, I can feel the guitar itself vibrating against my body, okay? That's undeniable. That's what happens. So the guitar itself is absorbing the energy of the string. And the degree to which the guitar absorbs the energy of the string is going to affect how the note sustains, how many of the overtones, the harmonics, sustain, and for how long. Okay, it has everything to do with the string itself and the thing it's attached to, which is, in our case, the guitar, right? And the truth is, you could take any note, and you could take any guitar, and you could prove this fact to yourself. Okay, we know that open strings sound good, right? When we play an open string chord, that has a very particular vibe to it. Sorry, it's out of tune. And it sounds really good and really clean and open. But then when we play a bar chord, it sounds a little bit different. And that's because of a combination of things. But one of those things is because you have this piece of flesh, this extra dampening agent attached to the string. So my open string sounds different from a fretted string. Ever so slightly, but different. And I'll tell you why. One reason, and one of the biggest reasons, is because you have this meaty piece of string dampening flesh that's now connected to the string and is one more place where the energy of the string is transferred. And if you don't believe me, just try it, because you're going to feel the instrument and maybe even the string itself vibrate under your finger of that fretted note, okay? That is the energy of the string being transferred into your body. And that affects the sustain and the timbre of the string. It does, because physics, because of Newton's laws, okay? That's just the way it is, and you can't deny it. Yes, the pickups are the tool that translates the vibration of the string into current that then flows to the amplifier and then is reproduced by the amplifier as a vibrating speaker, and that vibrates the air. It turns basically your guitar. No, it's not really. I was going to say it's an analog to digital converter, but that's not really true because it doesn't turn it into bits. It doesn't turn it into ones and zeros. But it does turn the sound, vibrational energy, what we interpret in our ears as sound, the vibrational energy of that string is converted into basically electromagnetic energy, right? The current that's induced by the pickups. And yes, the pickups are the main sensor of that energy, but the guitar itself, the wood that it's connected to, okay, that the string is connected to, is the bearer of the energy of the string that allows it to vibrate freely. If you had a guitar made of Play-Doh and somehow you were able to manage to get a string to tension, do you know how long that string would stay at tension? Like, not at all, right? Because the Play-Doh would give. It would immediately buckle, okay? If you had a guitar that was made out of balsa wood, even if it was thick enough to hold the tension of the string, do you know how long that string would stay at tension? Not very long, because that wood would buckle under the pressure of that string. But if you had a guitar made of granite that does not at all give under the tension of that string, the tensile strength of that string is way less than the tensile strength of a block of granite, right? That granite is going to resist the vibrational energy being transferred into that block of stone, and that string is going to sustain for a long time because physics. Because that's the way the universe works. So, I know this is overblown, and I know that I'm really opinionated on the matter, and I'm not a scientist, and I don't have all the facts, but I do have a very simple, basic understanding of some of the most crucial laws of physics by which our whole universe operates. So, I'm open to debate on this. I would love to hear your opinions, I would love to hear your experience, and I would love to see your evidence. Because there's lots of videos out there of people, playing different guitars and recording them at exactly the same, with exactly the same mic setup and amp setup, and guitars set up exactly the same with the same strings and different pickups or the same pickups. There's lots of evidence out there. But I would love to open this up to civilized discussion below. You can feel free to comment, feel free to share videos, share this video. I don't care what you do with it. If you want to subscribe, cool. I don't care. I'm not one of those guys that says, hey, subscribe. Be sure to subscribe. Remember to subscribe. I mean, that's cool and everything, but I don't care what you do. If this is interesting to you, then cool, subscribe. Maybe we'll have a dialogue together. But for me, in my mind, the debate is closed, okay? The subject is just, it's just not a debate. Because physics, the string vibrates, and the string is connected to a piece of wood, which dampens the vibration of that string. And so, the specific piece of wood that the string is attached to must necessarily affect the way that string vibrates. Not only how long it vibrates, but the series of harmonics and overtones and how long those are allowed to vibrate, right? And how quickly they're dampened by the guitar. You ever notice that I got a Dan Electro back there? That Dan Electro neither sustains nor maintains the same quality or timbre of tone as long as, say, the guitar that's right next to it, the Baritelli, right? The Telly that I made out of my Parts Caster baritone there. And all of these guitars are different. I've got some, very cheap and some very expensive and some kind of hand modified and some really nice ones, and they all sound different. And yes, it has to do with the pickups, and yes, it has to do with the hardware, but mostly it has to do with the wood itself. Physics, facts, science, okay? Observable reality, measurable science. Check it out. Try it for yourself. Play some open strings and play some fretted notes and tell me they don't sound different, and tell me why. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? Prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. I want to learn more about this. Keep it civilized. Be nice to each other. Nobody's stupid because they believe otherwise, okay? Be cool to each other, and stay tuned for more videos.